Hello and welcome to Macstaff Live. My name is Martin Crowson and today we're going to be discussing recruiting during times of economic uncertainty. And boy, oh boy, have we got some economic uncertainty in the UK at the moment. Luckily, I'm joined by someone that knows exactly what is going on and maybe what is going to happen in the future as well. Anthony McCormack, MD of Macstaff. Hello, Anthony. How are you?
Hi, Martin. Yeah, not too bad, thanks. It's good to see you again. I normally say I've been looking forward to this, but I kind of haven't because, there's no easy answers on this. There's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of problems and no easy solutions. But let's talk around and see if we can do some advice and recommendations.
For those of you that are watching this on watch back in weeks or months to come, very briefly, the situation politically in the UK at the moment is that Liz Truss is the new Prime Minister of the country, but for how long? She's under a huge amount of pressure because of a mini budget delivered by her then Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng, which caused huge alarm in the financial markets and has led to a massive U-turn in the last few days, led by her now Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, who's pretty much gone back on everything that was promised 36 or 37 days ago. So markets are in turmoil, pensions are under pressure, people's mortgages are now, anyone that's remortgaging is facing interest rates that have gone through the roof over the last few weeks. So that's where we're at the moment. And I guess that's a great place to start, Anthony. The stuff that's been going on over the last 4 to 6 weeks, have you ever seen anything like it?
Yeah, a week is a long time in politics, as they say. But apart from all that stuff, it's fine, right?
Yeah, we'll be all right.
There's been kind of a lot of talk and a lot of change, hasn't there? Fallout from the mini budget. Yes, I think the underlying principles were kind of like good and acceptable of low tax, maybe low regulation, high growth. That all sounded good, especially to kind of business owners like myself. But huge own goal because I think it was just quite kind of naive to go what Liz is now calling like too far too fast. Caused kind of a reaction, didn't it? Spooked the markets and basically increased cost and problems with inflation further because there was kind of uncosted tax cuts and spending commitments, wasn't there? And that means that the UK government becomes more risky to lend to, so they were ending up paying higher interest rates, and that kind of quickly kind of is passed on to higher interest rates for us as individuals and as companies as well. And just to follow that example through, yes, mortgages start to hike, don't they? Consumer spending becomes more expensive, company loans and things like that. And for example, in the housing market, the share prices of some of the big kind of housing companies and developers, they've kind of gone down and they've kind of pulled back their kind of production forecasts because the increase with the housing market is kind of inextricably linked with the mortgage market, isn't it? So they foresee people not being able to afford to buy all these new homes, so they're just not building, and that has a negative supply chain kind of cycle as well. So it's really interesting. It's definitely compounded the energy crisis. Like, people aren't even thinking about how they're going to pay their energy bills now. It's like, how are we actually going to pay the rent or the mortgage, which are also going up, isn't it? And I suppose kind of bigger picture or wider scenario as well is that our international credibility might be a bit kind of damaged now, and there might be more kind of long-term issues in attracting investments and things like that. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah, but like I say, apart from that, everything's cushy. Let's specifically get onto recruitment because that's why we're here. And just give us, first of all, a brief background to the current recruitment situation in the country. And it's been pretty much the same for the last 12 or 14 months, hasn't it?
In terms of more jobs than candidates. I would say that's still the case at the moment, and hopefully that'll continue because that's way better for a recruiter or a recruitment company for sure, where it's there's it's easy to get jobs, so to speak, and more difficult to find candidates. That means that good recruitment companies are in demand, and the skills shortage kind of pervades basically. There is and the stats on that are that we're at record low, aren't we, or lowest unemployment for 50 years. So I think that's at 3.5%, which is kind of cyclical, or like essentially zero. Out of the 1 million or so unemployed, there's also more than 1 million vacancies. So I think there's 1.3 million vacancies, but they're just not a match at all. Like, so the people who are jobless are not kind of a fit for the jobs that are available. So there's a huge piece in terms of education, skills development and training, like as a longer term, like, or systemic thing.
Sure. Is there anything that can affect the recruitment industry in terms of short-term issues because of what's going on at the minute? Do you look at the news and read the papers and think, oh crikey, that's going to affect my own business and the way things go on, or is that just too short-sighted?
Well, people are reacting to a certain extent, on the cost of living crisis, and that's for companies and for candidates, isn't it? So, people are working out, can I afford to stay in this job, or, given that my pay is not going up, or, or should I change jobs or even industry? So there's a reasonable amount of turnover in the market because of that. But I suppose on the counter or flip side of that as well, all of these issues that we've already talked about, that's a confidence thing, isn't it? So, and that's key to the economy in general, and to the jobs market as well, because if people haven't got the confidence to move job and join a new company because they're concerned about their own kind of job security or kind of ability to pay the mortgage or rent, they don't want to take risks, so that kind of just dampens down the employment market. So two different things in play, but as a rule, Neil Carberry, the chair of the REC, he said the market's kind of holding up. Basically, it's not fizzing as it was. There's not like tons and tons of new kind of jobs and candidates on the market all the time, but we're kind of holding firm so far. I am concerned that there can be a tipping point as soon as there's some more company insolvencies or mortgage foreclosures or just unemployment. It can create a kind of a downward cycle, but at the moment it looks like, because of the skills shortage, that things are still okay in recruitment.
Yeah, and you're not seeing any of those yet, and so the employment and staffing market is in a decentish position. Yeah,
they the talking heads or whoever say that it's not going to be the same kind of recession as the 2008 GFC, the global financial crisis, where literally things did fall off a cliff and there was mass unemployment. That's really bad for obvious reasons, but also lower kind of pressure on wages and things like that. But that doesn't seem to be happening. Companies are finding it really difficult to attract and retain workers as it is. So it's not like they can cut the dead wood or whatever. There isn't any, is there? The skills shortage is every sector, every location, every level. Really, we've not seen anything like it, because it's acute in some of the professions. Like, say, it's really hard for me to recruit a surveyor or an engineer, but equally it's hard to find a HGV driver or a chef these days, isn't it? So it's across the board, and that's actually a good thing, like in terms of the stability, I think, as we go through the next, what hopefully is just 12 months. I suppose I'll caveat all these kind of doom and gloom that we're saying by the fact that it's a season. There are going to be kind of tough times ahead, I think, but hopefully 6 months, a year, and there will be a winter, but there will be a spring and a summer to follow as well.
And talking of that, I remember 3 or 4 months ago we did a YouTube live that the recession's here, or the recession's coming any minute now, and here we are 3 or 4 months later, and like Neil Carberry says, we are still just about hanging on, aren't we?
Yeah, so there's change, but it's what do they say? Like, smooth seas don't make a good sailor. So we are coming into a recession and some no doubt difficult times as companies and as individuals. But make sure that you kind of come out of it better than you went into it, and learn some lessons along the way.
So as the MD of a recruitment business, what would you like to see happen next, and what things could be done to smooth those waves you talk about?
So, and it's an unpopular word, but there's going to be some suffering. I think there's no kind of bones about it. We've got to go through that period. So I suppose on an individual level, control the controllables. Like, so, there's a lot to worry about, but there's kind of actually no point. We can't do anything about it, like in terms of the macro level of the the economy and things like that, and cost of living crisis. But we can just do what we can individually to earn more if that's possible, spend less if that's possible, save, be prudent, and just keep taking each day as it comes, I suppose. The reason why it's kind of unavoidable as well, really, is, and with the mini budget, the government and the Bank of England were kind of pulling in two separate directions, with the government trying to do stimulus and grow the economy and create demand, but the Bank of England was actually trying to put the brakes on that to control inflation. And inflation, I think, for argument's sake, or people would agree now, is the main enemy. So we've got to bring that under control, else it just keeps spiraling up and up, and it goes out of control. So the most important thing is to kind of bring down prices and costs, and through inflation and the GDP figures, and that's why interest rates are on the way up. Like, it's an unpopular thing to say, and it's not kind of marketed in this way normally, but the Bank of England has to leave companies and individuals short of money so that there's less spending.
Take money out of our pockets and do it quickly.
I know. So exactly. So we've just got to let that cycle happen, I think. Hopefully bring inflation under control, and then we can kind of grow the economy gradually, and that's where in a way Liz Truss's kind of plans come in, but it might be in a year's time, and gradually and maybe at this 2.5% target level for GDP growth.
Okay, if that's what you'd like to see, what do you think will happen over the next coming months, and specifically in terms of both clients and candidates? How can they look upon what's coming, and also the recruitment industry as a whole?
Well, I suppose what I hope is going to happen as well is that there's a kind of a definitive kind of finish, on the war in Ukraine for humanitarian reasons and global economic reasons. That'd be a great start, because it's an energy, and fuel driven, and food driven kind of cost of living crisis, basically, isn't it? So and longer term, then I hope that we can kind of get a little bit more of a handle, and there are kind of plans in place, I think, aren't there, for food security, energy security, as well as literally defence security. So the trouble
is with all of those, and it's going to take time to get those things in place, isn't it? And we can all see that happening over the last 3 months. You know where the solutions are, but you also there's a road to go down before you get there.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so that's why I think the tough season is inevitable, really, as we put these other plans in place. Recruitment's very sensitive to the economy, so there will be tough times ahead for the staffing industry, and I've already seen some kind of internal recruiters and agency recruiters being made redundant. But as I say, there's a kind of a limited amount that can happen, because there's kind of no kind of slack in the system, so to speak. If I was given advice to people kind of job seeking or considering moving and all that sort of thing, yes, there's the jobs market seems to be still holding up, so fingers crossed long may that can continue. We're not expecting the mass redundancies, as I said, from the GFC before, but kind of watch out for the tipping point, really. We're hopefully creating a kind of bit of stability now, which will be for everybody's benefit. Worth a side mention as well that amongst one of the things in that mini budget was proposed IR35 reforms as well. So they were going to make it kind of more beneficial for freelancers and contractors from a tax point of view as much as anything else. That's another thing that's been scrapped. So the freelancers and contractors are not happy with the changes as well. So that might actually drive more people into seeking permanent employment, which I guess is neither good nor bad, just different.
And you would see a lot of IR35 issues, would you?
Yeah, it's a massive kind of just shifting the goalpost. Yeah, it was going to be that there was a lot more flexibility. Actually, it's not my area of kind of expertise really, but they were going to deregulate a lot of stuff to give a lot more flexibility for contractors, but that's not going to happen now. It's going to the private sector and the public sector are going to stay tied into a lot more kind of button down rules. From that point of view, I suppose the other side of it as well, not just the candidates, it's the clients, isn't it? And there's a lot of pressure on the HR and talent acquisition people to essentially do more with less as we come into this kind of a season as well. So you could do more internal talent acquisition work yourself, reducing your agency spend and agency costs, so to speak, and or just kind of lock in your kind of good and trusted recruitment partners and suppliers, so that there's perhaps some win-win deals there of guaranteeing a certain amount of positions but getting a discount or something like that, and employer branding is a key thing as well, and the employer value proposition, and that includes things that we've discussed in previous lives before, like what you offer in terms of the benefits and wellness packages, the flexible working, and work from home scenarios and things like that. So how can you market your company that you've got an inbound strategy? Basically, if you're the kind of company that everybody's clamoring to work for, you have less of a recruitment or talent acquisition problem, don't you? Obviously, and hopefully that has a kind of a spin-off benefit to retention then as well. But it's not easy for the HR and recruitment people in house, as well as the agency kind of recruiters in a dynamic market such as this as well. But I guess having said that as well, there is challenges, but it's overall kind of good news because there is demand for good reputable recruitment professionals, and with the recruitment being a major kind of USP or something that can kind of make or break a company at the moment. So HR kind of belongs at the C-suite as well. So the strategic value and kind of recognition of the profession is definitely up there at the moment.
Fascinating. Thank you very much. And it's changing and challenging times, but it's also nice to know that it's not all doom and gloom in the recruitment industry. That's for sure.
Yeah, so there's a skill shortage remains. Long-term prognosis on the economy good, but we just need to be able to be in a situation to be able to afford that growth, and good recruitment is required. Yeah, so be as ever, be kind of selective in who you partner with as a job seeker or as a hiring contact, because it's going to be higher expectations as we go through a more difficult market on both sides.
Fantastic. Thanks, Ant. Thank you very much for your time and your expertise today. And thank you, everybody else, for dropping in and joining us on recruitment during times of economic uncertainty. We've got plenty more offerings on our YouTube channel as well, on the Macstaff YouTube channel. So if you've not subscribed already, please do so and hit that notification bell. You'll be the first to find out when we're on air again. There's loads of useful information in there for both clients and candidates within the recruitment industry. Stuff on counter offers we've done recently, and the most recent video Anthony was on last time was how to pitch for a pay rise during times of high inflation. So if that's something you're thinking about, please check out our YouTube channel and have a look and let us know what you think. You can find out more information about Macstaff on the website and all over social media on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn. So please follow us on there. That just leaves me, Martin Crowson, to say thank you very much for your time, and have a good day.
Thanks very much, Martin. Job done. Good luck out there, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, and to everyone, wherever you're going over the next couple of months, take care and good luck with your work and your hopes for the future. Thank you very much for joining us, folks. All the best, and we'll catch up with you soon here on Macstaff Live. Bye-bye.